Our next guest took Albany by storm, first by getting himself elected to the state Senate through a somewhat non-traditional campaign and then by making a name for himself once he got there. As a freshman state senator, he has become the chairman of the Veterans Homeland Security and Military Affairs Committee. Not easy for a freshman to become a committee chairman. He was also appointed to Governor Cuomo's Spending and Government Efficiency Commission. State Senator Greg Ball joins us now. Senator, thank you so much for being here.
Good to be here. How are you?
Doing well. The last time you were on RFL was, I believe, the night before we eventually got the vote on same-sex marriage in New York State. You gave us the exclusive that you were going to vote no.
Sure.
We thank you for that exclusive.
Yep.
Just out of curiosity, your no vote on that, was that a vote of conscience, or was that a vote that you polled your district and you thought that's what your voters wanted?
You know, I got to tell you that it was being somebody who went into it undecided. You know, there, at a lot of Tea Party rallies, people said, read the bill, read the bill. We didn't have the final text, especially on my concerns with religious protections until the day of and religious carve-outs. And to watch that debate go on where you had extremes on both sides, extremely polarizing. You had those on the left who did not understand that there were those on the right who felt it was an affront to their strongly held religious beliefs. And there were those on the right who had no respect whatsoever. There were those who felt it was a civil rights issue. Pretty upsetting to watch just as an observer. You know, I have over 300,000 people in my district. I thought it was extremely important to make sure that there were religious protections in that bill. At first, the governor said, what are you talking about? Then we built up.
You got some religious protections in the bill.
And you know what? They're very good. There are several categories, two of which we had strong religious protections, one of which was the toughest needle to thread.
But you still voted no.
I did, but at the end of the day, it was our conference that allowed democracy to happen. I mean, I never thought Washington, D.C. would make Albany look good, but that's exactly what's happened. And there were those in our conference who would have just liked to have held up and bottled up that piece of legislation. But people have to understand that there are those, even in the conference, who allowed democracy to happen, allowed it to come to the floor, and now it's the law of the land.
But did you vote your conscience?
I did. I did. I mean, look, I mean, the people who, at the end of the day, the people who are saying vote yes, I have never seen them before. I've been through some very tough campaigns.
Sure.
And those people who asked me to vote no were people who had been with me by my side through some very tough elections. I can tell you as a 33-year-old man, young leader, I get both sides. I understand my base, certainly, but I also understand those who feel that this is a civil rights issue. It's a complicated issue, and there are very few people who pay respect to both sides and understand it. I felt, as somebody who represents over 300,000 people, that I had the moral responsibility to listen to both sides, and that's what I did.
But by the way, that you're only 33, more depressing to me than the Dow that we saw today. But I wanted to go back because the New York Times at one point, right before that vote, ran a piece that said that you had been sort of shopping around for external GOP support, maybe a Dick Cheney, to come campaign with you and maybe sort of.
I mean,
is there any truth to that report?
What I said, and I stand by today, is that for those Republicans who are going to come out and support marriage equality, and some of them did it, may not be reelected. And for those who felt strongly about it, I felt that they should do everything they can to make sure that those Republicans were protected. I went to Albany on job creation, reforming Albany, taxes. Those are my core issues. And I can say that to those who support marriage equality, for those Republicans who went out on a line and supported it, they sure as hell better be next to them, because they fought very hard to get those Republicans to go out on a ledge. And some of them put their political careers at risk. And I think it's extremely important that they follow suit during campaign time and make sure that those Republicans are protected. And Dick Cheney is an example of one who has come out and
conservative Republican who supports
to the left of President Obama on the issue. And I thought that with the import of New York State, that we should make sure that conservative Republicans who supported marriage equality were there by the side of Republican senators that are willing to go out on a limb.
But that need for somebody else to help get your back on a case like that, or other lawmakers' backs, as the case may be, speaks to a larger concern that I think people have in the political realm that we saw in Washington, particularly when it came to Tea Party Republicans and mainstream Republicans when it came to this debt limit deal. And that is that there seems to be a growing number of Republican lawmakers who need either protection from their own voters, their own base, or they need to fall in line and simply give in to whatever it is that they're hearing there, as opposed to voting their conscience, as opposed to voting in the national interest.
Actually, down in D.C., I think we have the problem that we have is we have individuals elected, many of them with Tea Party support, who feel that they were elected not to necessarily solve the problem, but to blow the place up. I mean, we have a Republican majority in the state Senate. We work with the Democratic governor. Worked very well, got to tell you. And somehow, I don't know how he keeps Shelley Silver in line, but the governor has done that. And the relationship that he has with our conference, bipartisan and great. We balanced the budget. We cut spending by 2%. We did so without shutting off the lights, no backdoor borrowing, no tax increases. And you look to Washington, D.C., where there are individuals, some of them, most all of them Republican, who actually feel that shutting down the government and beyond that defaulting on our obligations is a real possibility. And some of them, I honestly believe in my heart, view that as an opportunity to bring the country to its knees. That's a problem. I think you have individuals elected from across the country in a sweeping election that really believe it's their opportunity to blow the place up, that are actually anti-government in all respects. And that's what you're seeing play itself out in Washington. Thank God it hasn't happened in Albany.
Yet.
Well, we just don't have those members in our conference. I mean, and if we did, our majority leader would have a very tough time governing, like you see with Boehner. Want
to ask you while I've got, because we're running out of time, but I'm looking at an article from the Daily News from back in April, written by a friend of mine, Glenn Bain, called "You Albany's Pete King." GOP Paul Greg Ball invites anti-Islam author Noni Darwish to testify at hearing. Sparked charges of Muslim bashing by inviting an outspoken anti-Islam author to testify at an upcoming hearing. I don't know if you heard what Governor Christie said in New Jersey last week about a Muslim judge that he had appointed, but how is, at some point we're going to move off the anti-Muslim push, right?
I mean, look, as far as anti-Muslim, you can repeat garbage and call it fact. I'll just continue to call it garbage. At the end of the day, those hearings, we exposed the fact that the Port Authority bus terminal was not secure. Those guard shacks that were constructed after 9/11, completely empty. They're now being manned thanks to our hearing. LL Terminal, JFK Air Train, completely unmanned 99% of the time. They've upped manning on that terminal. Noni Darwish, whose father was a member of the Fedayeen, which within its complete mission statement is to bring the destruction to Israel. She actually saw firsthand her father who was a martyr. There are individuals who hope to destroy the United States of America and bring the United States of America to our knees. 10 years after 9/11, we're still not secure. Once again, congressional Republicans just a few months back looked to cut over $100 million, hundreds of millions of dollars in Homeland Security funding to New York State. I work with the governor, we work with Mayor Bloomberg, we got that reinstated. So we have to have a realistic approach. We cannot have a politically correct approach to our Homeland Security. Homeland Security, we have to realize that those 19 hijackers who had box cutters changed our global history. We're still dealing with those repercussions. Those individuals were not redheaded kids from Iowa. Hate to hurt your feelings, but they weren't.
I'm just not sure that the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of Muslims in the 5-state area that we broadcast to would have the same view of this hearing that you have.
I have spoken to many, and some in the press look to focus on the testimony of Noni, but in Noni you have the opportunity to see through the eyes of those who hope to destroy the United States of America. And when you're looking to protect the United States, you have to understand those who seek to destroy the United States. And that's just the reality. And just like Congressman King took the heat, I'm willing to take the heat, but I'm the one who has to stay up at night realizing that the United States of America and New York State is not secure where we need to be.
I suspect there's a part of you that likes taking the heat. Senator Ball, hang on. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to introduce our roundtable. Among the discussions, the FAA on partial shutdown, but will a new deal save the day? We will see when we return. Stay with us.